My 26F fiancé, 32M, left me alone in the woods. I'm sorry for the formatting or spelling. I'm typing this on the side of the road because I feel like I need quick responses on this. I have been with my fiancé for 6 years. I am 26F. He is 32M. He has always had a short temper and often picks arguments over small things, but he's so very kind every other time that I have looked past it and maybe hoped to help him chill out. He's funny and I really do love him. I do my best to avoid arguments, but sometimes it's impossible. Anyway, we had gone to a beach about 45 minutes away from home located in a state park which is not staffed or really patrolled well at all today, and had been drinking and swimming and having a generally good time. I remember feeling so happy and content because we hadn't argued in several days and he'd been in a good mood, etc. We began to leave and started heading home, still in good spirits. The beach was located in a remote area and neither of us had phone signal to use the GPS to leave. He began to yell and take his anger out on the steering wheel and I instantly felt defensive. Like every happy moment of the day was crumbling right there because usually once this behavior starts, the day is ruined. I made the mistake of yelling back at him that he needed to chill out, quit making everything such a huge deal, etc. I regret this, but I just felt so overwhelmed. I just wanted the good vibes to continue, you know? We argued back and forth for a few more moments before he angrily pulled the truck to a small paved parking lot where people usually stop to rest or grill food, that kind of thing. He screamed at me to get out and, like an idiot, I did. And he left me there. I sat in the brush and cried for a few minutes before a man approached me and started asking kind of uncomfortable questions about where I was from, who I was with, where they were. I tried to be friendly in the hopes my fiancé would return soon, but the stranger started touching my hands and offered me a ride home, and it made me scared, so I lied and said I had to go meet my boyfriend at a spot nearby and walked down the road quickly. I made it about a quarter of a mile away before I sat by a little pond where some people were fishing. I had no cell phone signal to call anyone to get me and I was scared to ask for help, so I just sat there and tried not to panic for almost 3 hours. I was alone the majority of the time, as when I arrived the only people around were already packed and leaving. From 4 p.m. 6:30 p.m. I was left alone in the forest, until I was able to find cell phone service after wandering for a bit and called my fiancé's mom to come get me. It is now almost 8 p.m. and I am extremely sunburnt and thirsty. I am quite pale and had been drinking all day until he left, but I finally walked far enough to get signal to call his mom for help. I haven't spoken to him yet, but he has sent several messages that I just got, seeing as I had no signal, basically just asking where I was and complaining that I had his wallet in my purse. I'm still waiting for my ride to get here, still very lost and upset. I feel so hurt and betrayed and as if this was a huge overaction on his end, but I do love him and if it's my fault I want to know. It was such a scary experience, which is why I feel it was too much edit. I wanted to say thank you to anyone who has left a comment since there are too many to reply one at a time. So, thank you. I am currently safe and staying the night with my mom. After my fiancé and his mom finally found me after a stranger noticed me on the side of the road and drove me around the park for 15 minutes looking for them, they both started in at me that this is all my fault because I should have just refused to get out of the car to begin with. I realize that is what logic would tell you to do, but it's hard to be logical when you are upset, tipsy and being screamed at. He also claimed that he looked for me for 2 hours before leaving to rally help in looking. His mom swears up and down he's telling the truth too, but I don't believe it. I sat in the spot he left me for at least 30 minutes before I was scared off by a stranger, and then I sat in a very visible, heavily trafficked area next to a creek that was maybe a quarter mile from where I started with no visual barriers whatsoever for another 2.5. I never saw or heard him drive by once. I remember listening closely for him because his truck is loud and I would have heard it coming. I can see now that he has put me in grave danger, maybe even more danger than I realized at the time. He has still not apologized, but I don't expect him to because he thinks he is right in this. I'm going to try and remove him from my life and spend some time alone. I will admit that in my quest for love and closeness, I have let him and other men treat me less than great just to keep them around. Thank you all again for helping me understand what a doormat I've been. In trying to force this man to love me, I have forgotten to love myself.